You know the fantasy. You're burnt out, overstimulated, and drowning in noise, the noise of your job, the noise of social media, the noise of your own anxious thoughts. And the fantasy begins to play in your head, escaping it all. You imagine selling everything you own, buying a remote cabin in the woods, a quiet house by the sea. You dream of a digital detox, a silent retreat, a month-long trip to a place where no one knows your name. You are searching for an external sanctuary, a physical location where the chaos of the world cannot reach you. But let's be brutally honest, this is a flawed strategy, because you can fly to the most beautiful remote island on the planet, but you will still have to bring you with you. You will bring your mind with all its anxieties, its habits, and its patterns of thought. The 17th century philosopher Blaise Pascal nailed this with a devastating insight. He wrote, "All of humanity's problems stem from man's inability to sit quietly in a room alone." The problem isn't the room. The problem isn't the noise of the outside world. The problem is the noise of our own minds. We can't sit quietly in a room alone because we are terrified of the company we will find there, ourselves. So what's the alternative? If we can't escape outward, what do? The great Stoic emperor, Marcus Aurelius, offered a radical and revolutionary answer. He pointed to a destination that requires no travel, no tickets, and no expense. A sanctuary that is always available in any circumstance, no matter how chaotic. He wrote in his private journal, The Meditations, that nowhere you can go is more peaceful, more free of interruptions than your own soul. This is the Stoic secret to inner peace. The journey is not outward, but inward. The ultimate retreat is a place you carry within you. Let's break down what he meant, because this is not some mystical New Age platitude. This is a practical, psychological strategy for building an unshakable fortress in a chaotic world. First, let's understand the landscape. Know where you can go. Marcus Aurelius, the most powerful man in the world, could have traveled anywhere. He could have retreated to the most luxurious villas, the most serene islands in his empire. But he knew that a change in scenery is just a temporary distraction. Real peace cannot be found in a place. It must be cultivated as a state of being. He is directly challenging our modern belief that a vacation can solve our burnout, or that a new city can solve our dissatisfaction. He is telling us to stop looking for peace on a map. Second, let's understand the enemy, more free of interruptions. What are the interruptions that rob us of our peace? We think it's the buzzing of our phone, the demands of our boss, the noise of the city. But those are just surface-level annoyances. The real interruptions, the ones that truly shatter our tranquility, are internal. They are our own cravings, our own fears, our own anger, our own obsessive thoughts. It is the tyranny of our own unmanaged mind. You can be in the quietest place on earth, a silent desert under a blanket of stars, and still be utterly tormented by an anxious thought about tomorrow's meeting, or a regretful memory from last year. The real interruptions are the ones you bring with you. And third, the destination, then your own soul. What is this soul or inner world Marcus is talking about? For a Stoic, this is not some vague, mystical concept. It is your hegemonikon, your ruling faculty. It is your capacity for reason, your character, your ability to make judgments. It is the command center of your mind. Retreating into your soul means temporarily disengaging from the fire hose of external stimuli and the chaos of your emotions, and returning to this quiet, rational center. It is an act of stepping back and observing your thoughts, rather than being swept away by them. Modern neuroscience gives us a fascinating parallel for this. Our brains have what is called the default mode network, DMN. This is the network that becomes active when you're not focused on an external task. It's the part of your brain that daydreams, thinks about yourself, worries about the future, and ruminates on the past. For people with anxiety and depression, the DMN can be a source of constant, negative, and interruptive chatter. The Stoic retreat into the soul can be seen as a conscious, deliberate act of taking control of your default mode network. It's about turning it from a haunted house of anxious ghosts into a well-ordered inner temple, a place of reason and peace. This idea of a deliberate inner retreat was not just an abstraction. One of history's greatest writers, the French essayist Michel de Montaigne, built his entire life and work around this very principle, inspired directly by Seneca and the Stoics. Montaigne lived in a time of horrific chaos. The French wars of religion were tearing his country apart with brutal violence and political instability. The world outside was a nightmare. So Montaigne made a radical choice. He retired from public life and retreated to his personal citadel, a tower in his chateau. This tower was his library, his sanctuary. He had his favorite quotes from the classical philosophers painted on the ceiling beams. And it was here that he began to write his essays, a profound exploration of his own mind. He had a concept for this, which he called the arrière-boutique, or the shop behind the shop. He argued that every man must have a back room, a private sanctuary in his own mind, that is entirely his own, a place where he can be truly free from the demands of the world. Even when you are out in the noisy front shop of life at work, in society you can always retreat to this inner room to find your balance and your peace. This is a perfect, practical metaphor for Marcus's inner retreat. Now this all sounds great when life is relatively stable, but the title of this video promises more. What about when you're not just stressed, but truly broken? What about when you've suffered a devastating loss, a humiliating failure, a deep betrayal? What if your soul feels less like a peaceful temple and more like a ruin? This is the most critical and misunderstood part of the Stoic philosophy. The inner retreat is not a luxury for peaceful times. It is an emergency shelter for when the storm hits. It is precisely when the external world has proven itself to be fragile, unreliable, and painful that the only safe harbor left is the inner one. When you are broken, the retreat is not about escaping the pain. That's impossible. It is about creating a quiet, rational space to process the pain. It's about going to your inner citadel, not to hide, but to command. In that quiet space, you can practice the core Stoic discipline of separating the event from your judgment about it. The event, I have lost someone I love. This is a fact, and it brings a deep, unavoidable pain. The judgment that follows, my life is over. I will never be happy again. This is a story. This is the second arrow we shoot into ourselves, the one that turns pain into prolonged suffering. Retreating into your soul when you're broken is the act of sitting with the pain of the first arrow, without firing the second. It's about giving yourself the space to say, this is a terrible wound, but it is a wound. It is not the entirety of my being. My life is not over. My capacity for reason, my character, my will, these are still intact. Think of the Japanese art of kintsugi, where broken pottery is repaired with gold. The philosophy is that the piece is more beautiful and stronger for having been broken. When your inner temple is shattered by a crisis, you are the artisan who can rebuild it. The principles of Stoicism are the golden lacquer you use to mend the cracks. The rebuilt sanctuary is not a denial of the damage. It is a testament to your resilience, your brokenness. When met with reason and courage in the quiet of your inner retreat, becomes the foundation for a new, more profound kind of strength. So, we have been looking for a sanctuary in all the wrong places. We have been booking flights, chasing experiences, and building external walls, when the most peaceful and secure fortress has been within us all along. This inner space is not a gift. It is something you must build, maintain, and practice retreating to every single day. It is a journey not of 1,000 miles, but of 1,000 steps inward. It is the journey home, to the quiet center of your own being, the one place in the universe that is truly yours, the place that no one and nothing can ever conquer. Remember the words of the emperor, a man who ruled the world but knew that his true kingdom was within. Nowhere you can go is more peaceful, more free of interruptions than your own soul. Stop booking flights to find peace. The journey is shorter, cheaper, and more profound than you can imagine. It is the journey back to yourself. Thank you for joining us at the Inner Citadel. If this helped you find the path to your own inner sanctuary, hit the like button and subscribe for more tools to build a resilient mind. We'll see you next time.